I keep my videos real, real. And I know I've been very sporadic concerning my ulcerative colitis, ankylosing spondylitis. And I don't really talk about the ankylosing spondylitis too much because for me, it's managed very well with my diet and with the Humira. So let me explain. If you watch my last video, I was just tripping, talking about being cured and stuff. Not that you can, I mean, I totally believe you can be cured from anything if it's God's will. But so what happened, I guess I was in a flare and I was just having a hard time. So I started off fasting and then I went off my fast. And when I do a fast, I'm drinking bone broth. I do not make my own bone broth. I get bone broth from Wegmans, and I forget the brand at the moment. It's not Wegmans brand. I think it's Imagine, and it's turkey bone broth, and the ingredients I think is bone broth. From turkey, and apple cider vinegar and rosemary. So I think that's the only thing that's in it. And I've tried other bone broths, like from Costco, they have a bison, and that hurt my stomach. And then other ones had too many things in it. It had salt and sodium and things like that. So the turkey bone broth that I get from Wegmans supermarket, I don't know if you have a Wegmans near you. I do not know how to make bone broth, and I do not have time to make bone broth. I don't even have time to make a proper video. I'm just throwing these things out here in case there's someone out there like me just wondering if they're the only person in the world who has both ulcerative colitis and ankylosing spondylitis. And they had ankylosing spondylitis first, because a lot of people seem to have had ulcerative colitis and then they start having joint problems. But for me, I didn't have any stomach issues. I did not have diarrhea. I did have constipation. But constipation was normal for me. It could have been a sign, but it was normal for me. Once I started my low starch diet and to no starch diet, then constipation stopped being a problem for me. But I was never, I guess, regular. What was regular for me wasn't what regular would have been if you look on the internet. And then a few years ago, I got a job and it was really hard and really stressful. I started having digestive problems. Everything I ate hurt. I started having constipation. I was no longer able to drink alcohol. I got violently sick from a sip. I wouldn't throw up, but it was like nausea to the point where like you would have if you had a migraine or something like that. And so I stopped drinking. Drinking is just not that important to me anyway. I miss everything. I have to give up a little bit. But it's not that important to me. I think the hardest thing that might be for me to give up if I had to give up chocolate, because I probably should give up chocolate, but I haven't, because that's probably the hardest thing for me to give up. I've given up coffee. That was kind of challenging, but that wasn't my first time giving up coffee. I gave up coffee when I realized it gave me mood swings. And then I started, since I was aware of it, I started using it. Control in a manner of if I needed a boost and I needed energy. And I just knew that when the coffee went away, it would, that I was going to crash, both emotionally and physically. So anyway, so a few years ago, I started having these problems, and no, I couldn't drink coffee and I couldn't drink alcohol. They made me nauseous, or they gave me stomach cramps, and everything started hurting. And then the constipation was getting so bad. I'm talking about I wasn't pooping for like 10 days, and there was nothing I could do about it. I could drink a prune smoothie and nothing was coming out. And so I did get a little discouraged. I started thinking, I don't care. And I started eating starch. Oatmeal, things are supposed to help you go to the bathroom. It didn't. Castor oil did help get me to go to the bathroom, but not all of it came out. Like, it just gave me horrible cramps. Stuff would come out, and then I was still backed up, and I wouldn't go again for like 10 days. So then I started seeing a naturopath, and I guess I call her a naturopath. I'm not exactly sure what she's called, but they check your body kind of like by a reflex and by putting things near you and seeing how your body responds. And a lot of people don't believe in it, but like I'm just like not one of those people that's just gonna think that just because it's something I don't understand or can't completely explain scientifically that it's not effective or not true. But I think at that point, by the time I started seeing her, I was way too sick. I was on a verge of like my gut was probably so messed up. So I started supplements and then I started going to the bathroom regularly. Like it started coming out, I was feeling so much better. And that lasted about a month. And then the following month, my stool started getting loose. And I thought I must have picked up a bug because my mother-in-law said that she was sick. So I said I must have got the stomach virus when I was over there, whatever she had. And so after that, it just kept getting looser. Then it was just runny. And then I had like diarrhea. And whatever I ate came out whole. So I went to see I'm doing a video. I went to see a GI, and she told me she was going to set me up to get a test done or whatever. It didn't seem like no big deal. It didn't matter that I had been having diarrhea for about a month. And then into the second month, like the first day, like day 31 or, like 31, I started getting blood. And I was like, is that blood? And the diarrhea? But, I'm just living like this. When I say I'm living like this, I'm living like this. I learned how to control it, okay? If you're not standing, it didn't come out. Don't trust any gas. You just got to hold all gas, only pass gas on the toilet. And I just learned how to accommodate this problem. And so I figure I'm going to wait and see. Maybe it was just like, just from being sore from going to the bathroom so much. And by the end of the day, it was like all blood. So I called the doctor. They was like, what? You should go to the hospital. So I went to the hospital, the same hospital I went to a month before that. I wouldn't send my cat to that hospital now. Or my dog. I probably wouldn't even send the hamster to that hospital. But I didn't know at the time. Don't get me wrong. They treat you like you are a queen. But the medical... The stuff they got going on, as far as treatment, that's horrible. Anyway, they were all kind. But I went there a month before, and they sent me back home telling me that I was constipated. I was like, I know I'm constipated. Like, that's the problem. Why am I constipated? So this time, it's funny because the doctor was like, why did you wait so long to get here? Like, apparently I had ulcers all over the place. I was so bad off. They was like admitting me right away. They put me on bowel rest, no ice, nothing. They couldn't handle water. And, by the time I got to the hospital, they wanted a sample. I was pooping something that looked like a placenta. It was a sac. A placenta, for those who don't know, is an afterbirth. After you give birth to a child, I guess that's like the placenta is attached to your body, and where the umbilical cord is attached, it keeps the baby and it draws the nutrients from the mom's body to the baby, and then that has to detach from the mother and then come out. Okay, so that's what it looked like was coming out of me, and not from my vagina. So I'm admitted, and they put me in bowel rest. They take forever to start doing tests, and they misdiagnosed me. They sent me home. I spent 11 days in there while they were trying to get me better with IVs and stuff like that. And they took me off my, I was taking Celebrex. So now I'm flaring with ankylosing spondylitis because, I was eating starch. I was eating oatmeal, okay? Oatmeal is so good. I do miss oatmeal. I was eating other junk too, to be honest with you. I was eating pancakes. The day before the blood started, I had pancakes and waffles or whatever. I don't remember what I had, but it was a breakfast at one of those breakfast restaurants. And so then my husband took me down to the city, one of the big city hospitals, 2 days later because I relapsed, of course. And they correctly diagnosed me. I spent 8 days in there recovering. In the meantime, my stressful job is calling me up while I'm still in the hospital, asking me when I'm return to work. So I'm stressed out. The position of job I had was so stressful. I believe that it took my ankylosing spondylitis right to ulcerative colitis combined. I don't think I would have ulcerative colitis if I would have never had that position in that job. That's my beliefs. So anyway, so here I am today. I was in this flare, and I had to get, my doctor wanted me to get some tests, sample test blood and give a stool sample. And I woke up that morning with no symptoms, none, no symptoms. And, it was weird. So then I had to give blood, and I just, and I didn't even have to poo. And before I was pooing on demand, and this was just like with a 2-day thing. Now, mind you, I was on the bone broth and kombucha only, but Saturday was as if like the flare went away, I guess. It just, everything turned off. And I didn't take my shot. I was supposed to take my shot on a Thursday. I was getting the blood work done on Saturday because I work Monday through Friday. And so Thursday, I was supposed to take my shot, but I didn't because I didn't want it to affect what was going on with my body. I wanted the results to be based off of what was happening before the shot, the Humira shot. And by the way, I take the pen, I take the pen, not the pen, I take the syringes because I hated the pen. And if you want me to ever tell you about that, I can tell you about both experiences. But anyway, for now, let me try to get the story out. I went and got the blood work, and I got my stool sample, which took me a couple days to have to drop off the stools because I was back to even pooping normal. And I did eat something a little bit the night before. I broke my fast, just seeing if it would stir something up. But I can't remember what my symptoms were the night before. I can't remember. I just remember Saturday morning thinking, I'm getting tests done when I feel fine. And so it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow. And I still haven't taken my Humira shot. And I'm eating I'm eating more food and varieties and things, and pretty much having a very, very strict no starch diet, and no dairy. So no dairy, no grains, and no starches. But I have been eating, I went on a road trip and I had red meat, and I've had not cream spinach, that's dairy. I've had sauteed spinach, and so I've had like different things. I don't overdo it. I go like right back to bone broth after a big meal for so anytime I think I feel a little something, which I do start feeling a little something, and I can't really say what that is because it's not an actual symptom I could actually check off on some like doctor's list. You just start learning your body. So now bone broth is like a staple food for me. And it's something I do after I have a big meal, like to just let that food, whatever I ate, digest first before I start putting another meal in. But I try to keep my meals small. And my meals will consist of eggs and fruit and vegetables, bone broth, kombucha. And I even had dried fruit, and it's not even bothering me because I did have a little bit of too many figs today. So I don't know if my conditions are in remission, and I don't know if in another week or so I'm gonna go on a flare if I'm not taking this my Humira injection. But I'm surely not taking my Humira injection, in being as though I'm 2 weeks into not. It's been 2 weeks since I was supposed to take one, which means I'm in my week 4 since my last one, and I'm not symptomatic. Okay, so have I noticed any joint issues? I noticed a little bit of stiffness. I'm not concerned about the ankylosing spondylitis as much because, like I said, I had learned to control that on my diet alone. And it's just I'm scared of a sudden ulcerative colitis flare. My ankylosing spondylitis normally gives me a little bit more creeping up. You know, it doesn't hit me like I don't wake up and I'm like all inflamed all over. Like my eyes might start flaring first with uveitis. I may start getting like a limp in my body. And I actually did have that, but it passed. My ankle felt like I like twisted it. It reminded me of one of my first stages of symptoms of ankylosing spondylitis. So that's where I'm at. So with the whole cure thing, if it brings God glory, I know he can cure me. But a cure for me would mean that I could go downstairs and eat some crackers, and I can eat whatever I want to eat, and I would have no response to it. And I'm not interested in testing that. So unless God came and told me, Lana, go ahead and eat what you want to eat, I have no interest in it. Like, sorry, I am sick. I keep a cold. I guess that's Humira. Allergies and illnesses. Your immune system is low. I just had my dermatology check, so no weird moles or anything like that. You got to have all that checked with Humira, and I'm sure the Humira stays in your body for like months, even though it's off. So anyway, so feel free to ask me any questions. I hope this explained a lot of things as far as what's going on.